Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I'm Shane, and I'm joined by my co-host for the Tuesday shows, Michelle. How's it going, Michelle?
Hey, brother. Good. Really good.
Oh, man, we were just talking about these energies, and you had a follow-up to some of my dream that I had last week about, just for those that didn't know, I had this sort of dream where I was, kind of busy meddling in or wondering if I should meddle in other people's stuff, and I shouldn't have. And then what appeared to be a nuke goes off, and no one was listening to me. So I was trying to get to this river to jump into it, to get away from what I was experiencing from the nuke going off. And I didn't make it to the river to get back into the flow. And also the time, 555, was another indicator when I woke up from the dream about getting into the flow, as you had written down in a previous thing. So as a quick summary for that dream.
Yeah. So, which was basically what I think is going on. It's getting reflected in dreams. This process of removing of these patterns or codings that put us in these situations. Like, how did I get myself in this situation? So it's removing these old patterns so we don't make those same choices. And so we're much more aware of actually what it feels like to be clear of those dramas, those worries, those things that take up the mind and distract you away from yourself and the flow of what is really actually important, and just staying in the flow, right? So I really saw that these dreams are coming in to release that on deeper and deeper levels for us. And it was funny because Mom hadn't watched the show yet, and didn't get a chance to tell me about two dreams that she'd had on like the 28th, and those same couple days where I know a lot of people were getting very similar dreams. So there's been quite a few stories of these kinds of dreams, of being in a situation and saying, whoa, I can just walk away from this. So the first one that she had, I hope she doesn't mind. I'm sure she doesn't. It's too late to say it was somebody else. I hope it's okay, Mom. Okay, so a previous person that she had dealt with, it was a confrontational situation that was becoming physical. So this person in the dream was like, so angry. They were in this fight, and they were ready to fight physically. She was a large woman, and had her arms raised, ready to start swinging. And, the way my mom initially approached the situation was to be equally, well, kick
like
your
bring
ass.
It on, right?
Bring it on, man. The little tough guy come out and be like that. But then all of a sudden she had a moment of a flash of seeing where that situation would actually get her. And she was quickly getting flashes of seeing herself being really hurt visually, and getting an understanding like that's of how real that could be and that happening to her. And then with that was the realization of like, whoa, hold on a second. I can literally just walk away from this.
Like choose B instead of A this time, right?
I do not have to do any of this. I can just like release it. And she was just able to just like completely just walk away from the situation. So it really felt like it was this peeling away of, that spontaneous aggressive response of like, I'll kick your ass too.
Right.
But where's that leave you, right? And even if it doesn't wound you on the outside, it wounds you on the inside. And we don't want to be in that state. But it was just that, again, this distinct moment of stopping and realizing, whoa, there's another being aware of there's another way to be, and don't have to do that, and you walk away, and it releases that old pattern. So that if any situations do come up in your physical reality, you're not responding that way. You don't have the inclination. You're so much less likely to react and respond in that way. That's how it's releasing that from deep within us, right? And then again, the next night, it's kind of the same ball of wax, really, but just played out in a different scenario. I thought it was interesting that the first one was a one-on-one face confrontation, and the second one was and I know I have had these kind of dreams, and I'm sure many people have, where it's a past relationship you haven't been in ages, but somehow you end up back in that situation again in this dream, and you're like, how did I get there? She ended up going on this date with this person again. Like, that would never happen, but and then it just all like builds so quickly, and then she's just in her house, and even though he's not there, he's at his house, and she's just feeling all that pressure from all those old thought patterns, like all that stuff you would have to worry about, and feeling, oppressed, or all those different feelings. And then again, it was just like this this snap out of it, this dawning of like, hold on a second, I don't need to do any of that anymore. And with it, again, is this real physical release, like how good she felt, in that moment of releasing all that. I think it really shows us the difference in what it feels like to be at that vibration and what it feels like to be at this vibration, how different. Because often in these situations, we get ourselves there gradually.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel like, how did I get here? And then coming out of them too, although we can have a drastic change to come out of that situation, it still takes a long process to release a lot of these old things and old patterns that had to do with all of that, till we get to the point where we're not thinking about it every day, like so many of us have been through. And so we don't, often feel this in a one moment next to each other, how drastic a difference that is energetically and in a state of being. We can kind of look back at it and see it, but when you experience it right next to each other, that what a dream allows you to do, to instantly release a situation, like to instantly change your environment so drastically and release that train of thought, that you feel that physical whoosh, that freedom, that everything. And I think that's what's playing out in the dreams in so many ways. It's like it's peeling those old codes away that put us in that pattern behavior that would get us to that point. Because because oftentimes we'll think, well, when we get in a bad situation, well, I would never get in that kind of relationship again, or I'd never get in that situation again. And then somehow, though it may be slightly different, still the result is pretty much the same. We end up in that kind of situation, and again, you got to work your way out of it. So I think that this energy that's coming in now is just really clearing this on such a deep level. It's allowing this physical experience of these two different states, like this real recognition. It's always choice. It's still allowing you in that moment. I don't know that everybody actually makes that choice in that moment to experience that difference. I think the dreams are allowing us to make those kinds of choices, to say, hold on a second. Yes, I do choose to release that. Yes, I do choose to feel a different way and let all that go and be in the flow, as opposed to, drama and all that other stuff, right? Getting ensnared, entangled in all these webs. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's easy to look back on stuff and see that, oh wow, I made the same choice over and over again, or to see it in others while they're doing it. I mean, often we'll see maybe someone who attracts the same type of mate over and over again, but they don't realize that they're sort of the common denominator in all of the
Mm-hmm.
relationships. And it's not so much that they really wanted that, but maybe they were worried about it resonating at that, and then they sort of attracted that to themselves again. But a point you brought out right before we went live was that we're presented with choices A and B, and people will continually choose A over and over and over again, and we all do this.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, what we're presented with maybe is going to be different from individual to individual, but when we see these repeating patterns coming up, I think it's good, like you're saying in the dream, you can see how you can take note of it, you can recognize it right away and make a different choice. Choose B this time instead of A and get a
Mm-hmm.
different result that you do actually want. But we
Mm-hmm.
do just keep choosing A over and over again. And the funny thing is, once we choose B, I don't think we'll move on to something else because we've sort of learned that lesson, And
We
it's
don't even
like,
get held up by it anymore. You don't even go down the road. Like the coding removal is so deep on that level
mm-hmm,
that those initial choices aren't even made to get you going down that road. It just that door just don't you don't go through it
right,
because you're so energetically different. And I think that's part of what this dream is showing us, how energetically different we are, like that juxtaposition,
mm-hmm,
showing how different it feels. And I just feel like it's removing it in such a way energetically, from our field, that it's just no longer an option to make those smaller choices that lead you down that road,
mm-hmm.
right?
And we
What
recognize it
Yeah,
immediately instead of after the fact, looking back on it.
because it's much easier to feel our own personal boundaries. Like
Mm-hmm.
when you're grounded and understand where you're comfortable and what your boundaries are. Because I think that's a lot of what happens in these situations. We let go of boundaries in order to get certain results, right? But which never work out to our benefit. So we don't allow the same kind of push and pull that we did previously. It's those things are kind of non-negotiable,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
But they're really
So,
there to teach us something, right?
yeah, so it's been really interesting to see how, I don't know if you guys have noticed that playing out, in dreams at all, but I've seen the different representations, for myself of um, a repetition of playing out like rewriting scenarios. I've noticed in
Mm-hmm.
dreams, rewriting scenes.
Right.
So I might not have experienced it quite like that. It's more being, for me, it's more being like outside of it, not within the experience, but outside of it, and kind of rewriting and replaying scenes, and it would be like rewind and then edit and then redoing scenes, but more outside of myself, not directly attached to myself. I don't feel uh involved in the dynamics of what's going on. It's more like outside of it. It's kind of very soothing. It's like editing, and it's like creating something. It feels like a creative process
Mm-hmm.
more than anything. So, but that's how I've been experiencing it. Hmm.
Well, what kind of symptoms have you been dealing with? I've been having sort of it's almost dizzy or sort of out of it feeling. Even
Hmm.
like right now, I'm pretty much awake, but I do have this sort of haze, I guess, or
Yeah.
slight sleepiness. I don't even know. It's almost like when you're really sleeping, you get sort of a dizziness with it, but I don't have the extreme tiredness like we've talked about, where you just have to go lay down. I don't feel like that, but I do
It's a
have sort of this
tricky
head feeling.
blend,
Yeah.
because I think it's like the body feels like it wants to rest, and it sort
Mm-hmm.
of feels like maybe it's tired, but then the mind, I just feel is so I like has I've just had so much like downloads and pictures and opening understandings and experiencing them sort of, energetically and visually, and just feeling the energy that's coming in. So it's like energetically I feel very activated and awake, but it also makes me a little distant, because sometimes a lot of this stuff's coming in and I could feel like I'm in another world, not quite here, because when these expansive pictures come in, or it's the concepts, and you don't even have words for all of it, but it's all this visual stimulation and energy, feeling energetic connections and knowings, and then and seeing these concepts sort of merge and attach to other concepts and unfold. And so I'm kind of a little spacey,
Right.
a little daydreamy, right? I'm
Yeah,
kind of like,
absolutely.
but I do keep finding a very measured pace as well. I do find that I'm, like I said to you, consistently sitting back in my heels, when I am doing things, and I notice that my mind is taking these things. I'm trying to limit how much my mind is doing at once. Notice if I'm doing multitasking in my own head, and trying to limit the multitasking in my mind.
Right.
And just keep keep that as simple as possible, and then just trying to bring in the joy of the energy that I feel that's coming in right now, and breathe it. Because one of the big things, the visuals and messages that I've have keep getting in, and then had reaffirmed to me as well, is that the king of experiencing the kingdom of God within, in the kingdom of God being, and that it really is here now, and there's a
Always within
joy
reach.
that's here right now.
Yeah, always within reach too. Yeah, just we don't reach because maybe we get triggered and stuff. But I was just telling you how I've even been triggered about stuff like appliances breaking and things like that. Just normal 3D stuff that you're like, oh God, blah blah blah. And then I've taken that moment to say, I wonder if I can pull it in now. And you just stop, breathe it in. Like, wow, it's still there even now. And then all of that stuff just falls away. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow, if I can just learn to do this all the time, I could just stay high vibe all the time. So that's sort of where I'm at right now. I'm just trying to keep my vibes high because it's always there. We just choose to get angry about something, or we choose to worry, or we make a choice every time we're resonating at something we don't like. It's our choice. Nobody makes us. Even if somebody walks up and smacks you in the face, it's still your choice to respond. You know what I mean? Or
Absolutely.
to turn the other cheek. And I think that's really what Jesus was talking about. He wasn't talking about really letting someone beat up on you as much as he was, being in control of yourself.
It's not about being a floor mat.
Right.
It's about being that strong.
Exactly. Because it takes strength to be that way. It takes strength to say, forgive them, they know not what they do.
To put down your own pride when it's screaming for justice.
Yeah. Because that is our ego that wants to smack them back, right?
Make them pay. Show them, teach them.
So it's getting it out of the driver's seat and being in control despite what comes your way,
Exactly. Because what are you really sacrificing? It all comes back to you. It all comes back to you. So yeah, it's really important to just, and I think that keeps getting prompted right now. It really does. I think you've been feeling that just that prompt to like, just breathe, just sit back, just experience the now and the energy that's in the now. And then when I've been, feeling a little lull out, or I remind myself of the gratitude, and just like, again, being aware, am I focusing on what I don't have, or am I focusing on what I have? Just a simple flick of a switch.
It really is. It really is, yeah. And having that, having that attitude of gratitude.
Yeah.
Being thankful that your needs are met. Because if it's like, I hope my needs are met, then you're sort of pushing it out into the future. Instead of just resting in the fact that, hey, when I need something, I'll have it. I'm taken care of, and just having that trust. And then you have that gratitude, that thankfulness of where you are right now, and you're resonating in that. And of course, you're going to attract what you need.
Yeah, and then it just leaves you open, free, and clear to experience now.
Yeah.
Because you're not distracted by all the worries attached to whether or not you have what I need, or or whether or not you can control the out. It really is like, I had a great conversation last week too with Travis about controlling outcomes and our need to control the outcome, right? And it really is counterintuitive to faith, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
This
It is.
constant need to control, to be in control of the outcome, or to think that you have control of the outcomes,
Right.
right? So, and there's so many ways we do that we don't realize, from the words that we say, body language, actions, like there's so many different things, but we don't just do it to other people. We do it to ourselves too, within our own train of thought. Our mind is trying to control the outcome of everything all the time.
All the time.
All the time. It's
And
trying
it
to
just gets in the way of
control the
manifesting. Because
outcome,
then you've
right?
got like you've got expectations, which we all know how they can harm you in so many different aspects of life, because you think, oh, it should play out this way, and then you miss opportunities because, well,
Mm-hmm.
that's not what I was expecting or whatever. But when you can let go of that and let it all go and just trust that, look, I know I'm going to end up where I need to be, and you just trust, and those things that are out
Mm-hmm.
of your hands are actually liberating once you realize, like, oh, thank
So
goodness. Thank goodness I don't have to control this. This is clearly out of my hands. I know that, my higher ups, God, the Holy
yeah.
Spirit, your guides, however you see it, is going to take care of that for you.
Yeah, and it allows you to just do that, walking sort of one step at a time. It's not to say that you don't plan anything. It's really how you approach everything,
Mm-hmm.
with an expectation that you can control all these outcomes, or you can control what happens and how it happens and when it happens, and all of these different things. Now, think of how much noise that is in our head, and removing that, the simple need to control outcomes, removes a massive amount of noise in your head.
Yeah. And we often talk on here how we've sort of ended up here out of pure ignorance. I could have never planned things out so perfectly as they've played out. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's looking back on that, that's sort of I don't know, a really big relief that I've made it this far and I didn't have to be strategically planning everything out. Things just fell into place. And there's no
Mm-hmm.
reason for me to think things won't continue that way as I move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've honestly found, through my own experience, my own learning experience, that the more that I allowed those things to flow and didn't have this need to know all outcomes, and that it would all just work out just the way it should. Just
Without
this
us
this
micromanaging it all.
yeah, without the micromanaging. That's really
Right.
it. But just having this, carrying this always underlying, this feeling of like, does it really matter if it goes left or right and veers off and does a U-turn? Because I'll be exactly, that's exactly where it's supposed to be, to lead me the best outcome. Because just being in that awareness, every time I've been able to do that, um, has put me exactly where I needed to be for
Yeah,
the
it's
for
being
the
in the
best
flow.
outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and the more you can release that, the easier it gets, and it frees you up to just experience the energy of what's going on, and start to experience the joy and the gratitude. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So I had a dream that I wanted to talk about that was a week
Mm-hmm.
after last week's dream. Except I woke up at 3:19. I need to look up those angel numbers for
Oh
3:19.
yeah.
But basically, I've got this conference coming up where I'm a speaker, and so there's a little. It's my first time doing any kind of presentation like this, so I was dealing with sort of the nervousness of, am I going to do okay and all this, and I really feel like I'll be doing okay, but, there was, that sort of nervousness about the whole thing. And so I had a dream where that combined like all of my previous history of performing or doing anything in front of people, from the YouTube channel to playing my guitar and singing in front of people to DJing at a music festival. All of these things played out in this one dream. And basically, I went live from my phone at this huge outdoor festival. You know, I guess like what you might imagine Burning Man or Yes Fest or something like that. You know, and I'm talking through my phone, and when I got away from the people, I lost the connection, so I had to get back in with the people, and I'm like sort of making my way through the venue, doing this pep talk, like, you know, how you guys feeling? Why don't you, you know, jump to your feet? Do you feel the energy? And everybody's cheering. It's really beautiful. I could still remember the energy coming in the dream. And then there was actually music playing that was going along with, you know, like it was sort of like I'm emceeing. So I wasn't giving a presentation like I'm about to do, but it was more like a pep talk, you know, and everybody was loving it. I could feel the energy of everyone, and we were pulling it all in. And then I remember the music building up in this massive, you know, music build up like they do at like a you know, a music festival, and, you know, saying, let's bring the energy in. And then the music comes back in, everybody's going crazy. And it was just, I woke up feeling like a new man, because I kind of went over my presentation again, and it was totally different. I had a completely different perspective on how it's going to play out. And it really showed me the parallels between every time when you get up and you perform, you're bringing in the energy, right? When I
Mm-hmm.
would DJ, you're bringing in the energy. When we get on here, we're spreading the love and the light, the energy, you know, and we're
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
bringing it in. And it's not really anything different with this presentation I got to give. I just do what I do and trust the energy will flow through, and I'll do it. So that was my dream for the week, and it was awesome. It was exactly a week later, and let's see, angel number 319 is a positive sign from your angels and ascendant masters prompting you along your path. Angel number 319 is a message to do your life purpose, your soul mission. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's perfect. I mean, it fit
Yeah.
perfectly. It was awesome.
Yeah, and I thought it was pretty great because the some of the information that Sarah I was seeing this week and how I was feeling the energy and seeing examples of how it's showing itself. And um I'm sure a lot of people are aware that Kanye's put out, you know, this Sunday Service album. And I sent you, like, right back in the beginning of the week, I sent you that video from his Sunday service because to
Very
me,
cool. I
listening to
recommend
it,
everybody listen to it because it was
the
so
energy,
energized.
oh, when they
The
do
energy was
Jesus
amazing,
is King, I'm like
right?
goosebumps. I'm like, ah.
It
It
was
was
awesome.
so good. The energy off it was amazing, and I just felt the energy coming off even the comments. I felt, you know, I was watching different reactions videos. I was watching different interviews that he was putting out there because I could really feel the the energy coming in, and it tied into me to what we talked about before in the Kim Clement prophecies.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, go back and look at that, because I felt that there was something in there. You know, he did all these prophecies on Trump, which have turned out pretty amazing. But I wanted to look back and see if he brought any of this up, because I really felt like it's showing evidence of this joy of Christ energy coming in, the expression of
Hmm.
that. They
The
go, I'm
return of
tingling right
Christ.
now. So now I'm getting
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tingles on
I'm
the top
getting
of my
all
head.
over.
The joy that how people will be singing in praise. Um, yeah, for Jesus. Like
Hmm.
that Jesus being popular,
Hmm.
Jesus being culturally popular, right? That
Yeah.
Christed energy and the joy. And sure enough, I went back and saw this video. I hadn't even watched the end of it, and right at the end of it, exactly, this is what keeps happening to me. Exactly the words that are come up in my head with these images that I'm sort of reading and intuiting. It's like immediately, boom, there it is in bold letters, like right, that's exactly what it is. So what Kim Clement had prophesied was this creative revolution, um, for like a new creative church, a new way of work, a new creative way of worship. And I think it's so interesting that so many of us are creative people in different, even merging different things, you know,
Hmm.
um,
Boundless
and
without limitation. Yeah.
yeah, and how much are we? we're expanding our creativity, wanting to try other outlets of different, and merging different things together, different creative things together, is going to be an outlet for this Christ consciousness coming through. And what we're seeing is just the beginning of that. Like, we're just seeing the outpouring of that. And I just could feel the energy of joy, of just the simplicity. And again, a real counterbalance to the complexity and dramas that are playing out on one side of the stage. That here is a real, I mean, if you want to debate whether he's this or whether he's that, go ahead. But I think there's an underlying simple joy in Christ that's coming through from people, from this music. Just you can, it's beaming off of it.
Oh, you can feel it totally, and it's not just one religion or one group. I mean, you feel it. You can feel it coming from everywhere. I mean, it's just
the excitement,
just,
palpable.
Oh, yeah. And I was even shown when we were looking at this whole thing and talking about it, how there's the one parable of Jesus talking about the wheat and the tares, and how he's like, let them grow up together. We'll pluck out the tares and burn them in the fire. Now, this has always been applied to people, right? Like, there's God's holy people and then the sinners, and you're going to pluck the sinners out and burn them in the fire. But I was shown with this whole energy coming in that a lot of, whoops, did I lose you? I'll come back to, oh, there you go. I lost you for a second.
There you are. Okay.
Okay, so I was shown
you were shown. Mm-hmm.
How it wasn't people, it was sort of the truth, right? In the weeds were the lies, the man-made religious lies and things that have grown up along with the truth of Christ and who he really was. And that it's been allowed to grow up because at harvest time, when the wheat becomes heavy, it begins to bend over and the tares poke up, and it's easy to pluck them out,
Mm-hmm.
So it's been shown to me how, like, we've got all these love light sleeper cells in every religion, every culture, everything, just waiting to come alive, waiting for this energy to come in and to be brought alive, and to awaken to this Christ energy, this unified Christ consciousness coming in. And we're going to pluck out and burn the lies, not the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going to allow the truth of this energy to come through creative, through new means, through
like music,
creative
like John Benny
people, like John's music, all these different things that we're doing. This is why this energy is propelling us to do that. And Kanye is just simple, he's an example because you can see him, but that's the thing. He's just one of many, many people that is happening to. Like, you even look, if he talks about his process, he lost his mind, and there's so many things that he went through in this process that I think a lot of people can relate to, where he went down that road and he was tempted and he was distracted by these different things. Where did it lead him? It left him empty and hollow and wondering who the hell he is and why he's here, I'm sure, and left him in and medication and everything else, right? Because you're not right in the head, and he had to pull himself back out of that. And I mean, that's what so many people go through in this process, in this dark night of the soul, where you lose everything, in so many ways. You can lose your job, your relationships, your personal belongings, your home. You can lose your mind. You can lose everything that you thought you were. And that all falls away, and what are you left with? And that's where we come back to God.
Exactly. And it's all on purpose. It's not a mistake. It's sort of the story of the prodigal son, he took his riches, went off, squandered them, and then he came back, and the father still welcomed him with loving arms. But that journey was super important, because on that journey, he learned what would and wouldn't work. So often we're taught that, oh, you're backslidden, you're off, and, you're going to burn in hell if you die while you're out there. But no, it's all a part. How will you really know until you experience it for yourself? I mean, we all know we've been told things. I mean, the Mandela Effect is one. You can't be told about the Mandela Effect. You have to experience
that
reality
shock.
changing. Yeah.
Just like the clock stops.
Exactly.
You're like, hold on, these short circuit for a while.
It's all of that makes us who we are and makes us know, like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
want to do that again. I've tried that before, let's try something new.
Yeah. Yeah. It it is completely it really is a completely different foundation, and it has to strip away all that stuff that you think you built up, with your ego and your pride, and basically with all those different human things that push us right to want to need. And yeah, at the end of it, we realize it's not worth. Here, take it.
Right.
I give it. Can have it. I don't want it. There's one thing I want, right? One thing I want, and that's just to experience that grad. And that was kind. We talked about that last week, and that and talking about that experience of just being in gratitude for the love of God, like the experiencing that. And I because I had experienced it so strongly in kind of one of the wave or event dreams, whatever you want to call them, where there was an actual wave of energy coming in, and when it hit, I physically felt in the most powerful way possible the presence of God and the love, this overwhelming love like you can never imagine. It's a physical experience. And I explained to Shane before, like, I didn't have the church, but I didn't go. These are not normal words at this time for me to say or think. That all I could do was just want to sing in praise of God. I just wanted to sing in praise of God. I didn't go to church. I didn't have that background. That's all I wanted to do. And I really feel like that energy, this is all, that it is all tied. That dream is showing that energy coming in. That is coming in. I really feel strongly about next year, that how much we're really going to feel this come in. And what we're seeing now is those voices in anticipation raising their heads up, feeling the presence of this energy coming in, and we're being creatively compelled to raise our voices up in joy and let go and just unleash that praise and that joy and all of it to the world around us. Because again, it comes back to the visual for me, the kingdom being within it. And so all these visuals have just been popping it's just been going off, and experiencing this energy and seeing how it's coming in. I just really feel that it's coming strongly, and we're seeing that anticipation now, and the voices and the heads turned up to the sky in praise and anticipation. You can feel it. You can feel it in the air.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like palpable. It's even like, I remember, being told in church, well, you get to go to heaven and you get to throw your crown at, the feet of Christ and worship forever. And I'm like, dude, if I'm in heaven, I don't want to be worshiping, just praising forever. I want to like explore. And, and this is sort of the type of thing I would think. But now experiencing these energies, you realize it's not, you're doing it because you have to. It's just, you're so filled with love and joy.
It's the only thing you want to express.
You're just praising the whole time, praising the love, the gratitude, and the joy. Just, you can't help but let it.
It's an expression of energy. It's a state of being. It's not just something that you do. It's such a state of being that it's out your pores. It's not just out your mouth, sing, in prayer. No, it oozes from you. It's all that you want to express.
You do it because you want to do it, not because you're really like worshiping someone. It's really just you're becoming the conduit for that to just flow through you, and that's of course you're gonna express it by dancing and singing and doing
doing creatively. Because because God is the creator. So what better way to praise the creator than to be creative in your praise?
Well, what do you think? Do you feel like, since this is coming in, what do you think about people that maybe they haven't been artists or musicians? Do you think maybe they can begin to tap into this and do things that
If
they never been able to do before?
I I think if they're inclined to, I think there's lots of different ways that people can be creative.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like akin to what we see as like song, dance,
The arts.
visual, as just those things. There's creative thought, there's creative engineering, there's lots of different things. There's creative giving. There's many different ways to express yourself creatively. I think that those natural expressions will just flow with the energy. Again, you don't need to control the outcome of what you think you should or have to do. It's just, again, in the flow, a natural expression.
Mm-hmm.
You won't stop yourself or hold yourself back from naturally expressing your own individual creative way to experience this energy. So that's it. So however, and and for ourselves, that can change from one day to the next. It doesn't have to be one thing or one way. It's not
It's really following your heart,
just, yeah, it's just letting free flow expression of your own personal truth.
however that plays
How
out, or however you feel.
how
It might be
how
preparing food or gardening or anything. I mean, yeah, it
exactly.
could be anything.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
Anything. It's in each moment of now, it could be a different thing. And that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the great things is I like to try different stuff. It's hard for me to fully master one specific thing because I'll master it to a point and then I just want
Same
to
here.
go experience mastering something else.
Right.
So that's part of it too. So we don't have to put those boundaries and walls on what we're experiencing. Well, I have to measure it this way and I have to do it this way and I have to compare it to what was done before and how it was done before. It's a free flow of creative expression,
Mm-hmm.
and just allowing your own divine expression of truth to flow through you. And that could mean do nothing at all. Right?
Well, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, because it's happening to both of us, so I'm sure it's
Mm.
happening to a lot of the people here, and this is sort of this real-time feedback from reality. So, like, maybe you'll have a thought, and then something will play out in reality, like you instantly manifest something. So I'll let you go into that sort of with some of the examples that you were talking
Yeah.
about.
Well, it really picked up this, like I touched on, like I was getting these concepts or word thoughts or even just my own simple thoughts. So even whether it was kind of the channeled pictures and information that I was really getting coming strongly and impressing itself on me, or just idle thought, like aware of idle thought or idle questions, and having a very, very immediate answer response scenario. Like one was just really, really silly on the idle thought thing of watching a YouTuber, a video, totally different kind of stuff that I'm watching, and just the absent thought. He never shows, you never see what he looks like, and he's just a younger guy, and he has like an animated picture, but you never see what he actually looks like. And I've watched tons of his videos, never seen what he looks like, and I just randomly think, I wonder what he actually looks like. One, two, three. There's a picture. Like as I'm watching the video, I'd never seen, and then an immediate response. There's a picture of him. Oh, you wondered what he looks like? There it is. That's how quick I'm finding, especially if I'm in tune to listening to my intuition, my thoughts of intuition, the thoughts that are directing me to look this way or look that way. Um, there's an immediate information interaction with what's coming up. It's that exact thing, like down to the words, the phrases, um, and the connections. Exactly what I was thinking, and they're spelling it right out there.
You got to
So,
pay attention because you can miss it. I know, like last night, I was about to head somewhere and go in and talk to somebody, and I turned on my car to start it, and the radio said something for a second. I immediately turned it off, but then it played back in my head. There's no need to go in there. That's like what that's the
Mm-hmm.
section of the radio DJ or whatever it was on there. There's no
Yeah.
need to go in there. And I'm like, there's no need.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going there. So
Okay.
it's right there. It's, I mean, I could have easily missed that, but you
No,
know,
but you listen differently though.
you do. You pay attention. You begin to
Because
pay attention when you're in
because
the
you're
now.
but you're decluttering all those thought distractions, all the
Yeah.
dramas that like we talked about with your dream, all the dramas and things that you could be involved with, that you could be triggered about, that you could be distracted about, all the outcomes that you could be trying to control. All that mental clutter is just getting released, so we're much
Mm-hmm.
more aware of what we're hearing and experiencing and what we're feeling, whether or not we're feeling that snag of
Mm-hmm.
intuition. You can feel it so lightly. It doesn't take a 2x4 over the head anymore. It's just a light little tap,
That's all it
right?
takes, though, once you get used to, because it's really a breaking
Mm-hmm.
the habit of
Mm-hmm.
not being in the now, not being in the moment, and noticing things like that. Because if I was
Yeah.
worried about something or fretting about the future or tripping over something that somebody had upset me earlier that day, I wouldn't have heard the radio. I wouldn't even be talking about it now because I wouldn't have
Yeah.
been there to hear it. I would have been off in my thoughts somewhere.
Well, you're open to how we can receive our answers to our internal questions now. It's
Yeah.
not all like, look at when you first started going digging through rabbit holes and everything. We read this and we decipher, and I don't know, we've really kind of distilled this process. It's just a lot less clutter, and can just follow that tap of intuition. So that
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's almost like distractions is what I think of. I'm like, there's always a better way to spend my time, than to risk being triggered by, I don't know, something political or religious or anything like that.
yeah,
You know?
yeah, that's what yeah. Yeah,
I
and
mean, I
I'm
do
very
like to
like I
observe. Don't get
really
me
listen to
wrong.
that. Like
Yeah.
if I see that and I see like a video or something comes up, and it's like, that person, especially in the political stuff, right? I
Hmm.
am I very much, yeah, I'll tune it out now. Like I'm not going to give it that attention. I'm not going to give it that attention. If I know everything that comes, why are you going to listen to somebody that, it's just lies, or it's just whatever it is. So just, I've already made that distinction. I've already made that decision. So why keep viewing it or listening to them speak? You're just taking in their energy. So, so don't so don't do it. There's a
Exactly.
good idea with the politics stuff.
Yeah.
So it's good to observe and be aware and be informed, actual information, and then just leave it at that.
It's
Don't
easy to get
stew in
pulled
it.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to stew it. Like if you find it, you're listening to somebody and you're like, I can't stand this person. Don't fight.
Then turn it
Don't
off.
don't
Yeah.
do it. Don't
Yeah.
do it. Just
Yeah.
don't then. Nobody said you have to. Right? Why do you want to
Right.
feel that way? Don't do it.
And
Yeah.
I've had to do the same thing. It used to be, it's sort of like playing with fire. Because if you used to be heavy into politics or religion or something like that, and you go and you play in it for a while, it's good to see how much you can let things go and just be the observer. But if you start
Mm-hmm.
feeling yourself getting pulled back in, to recognize it, like, okay, I better pull away from this. I'm not quite ready to, take that whole unbiased and unoffensive approach,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just being in control of what you can take, and don't play with fire if, you might get burned, right?
And I have faith in the positive outcome of all of this. So no
Yeah,
matter
me
what
too.
it looks like, at what stage, whatever it looks like, or how things may appear, deep within my heart, my gut, like all of it, I feel that this is all part of the process, and it's leading for the best out. So why try to worry about outcomes in controlling that? So even however it may look or seem on the surface, I'm not worried about it.
Because that gets back to what we were saying about the expectations. You know,
Hmm.
like when I did the whole JFK Jr. thing, I think that would be awesome if it played out that way. That would be
Yeah.
so freaking. It was just a cool story I wanted to share,
Yeah.
but I'm not invested in it to the point where if it doesn't
Exactly.
happen, I'm destroyed.
That's right.
I can put positive intentions towards things playing out in a positive way, and that's I really feel like is how it's going to play out. It's going to
Yeah.
play out in the right way, but it might not be the way I think, and I'm
Yeah.
okay with that. And it
Yeah.
usually isn't the way I think, so
Yeah. I
it's just
like that.
realizing that. And
We were talking, was it you? I said I gave it 33% odds. JFK is
oh,
still alive. Or
oh,
was that
right,
Travis?
probably Travis.
So I'm like, after, Q said, I left it and I didn't feel that. I'm like, I didn't attach myself to that. I saw a picture, I saw a story, and however it plays out really has no direct effect on
Right.
me. So I'm not attached to it, but there's still, I still think I was like, I give it about 33% chance of being possibly true, right?
Right, but I mean
Because
that was
33 is the magic, my kind of a magic number. But honestly, I'm like, I'll give it about 33%. So
right.
we'll see. But
Well,
I'm not attached to it.
what I really liked about that is because there was all these, I guess scenarios people were saying, well, things are going to play out like this, things are going to play out like this, and when the JFK Jr. thing came along, I was like, that's something I would have never expected, never thought of on my
Never,
own,
yeah,
and it would make a great movie, even if, I
it
mean, it's
would.
just, it was such a cool out of the box way things can play out, and people were so angry and triggered by it. I'm like, dude, it's just, I'm saying, wouldn't that be cool? You know, I'm not saying that's how I know.
Yeah,
I don't know anything, but it sure is cool. It was a cool scenario of sort of this return and, getting vengeance on his what they did to his father and stuff. Just the whole story was a complete, really
yeah,
cool package to just
yeah.
consider. You know what I mean?
It what I liked was that it could take a really, that when a lot of the dark information is coming out, um how it could really take that darkness and make it light again. Just
Right.
renew that hope. But there's
Exactly.
so many
Yeah.
ways that can happen. There's
Exactly.
so many, and it's going to happen. So it doesn't really, all truth will be told. Like the truth will catch up to the lies, no matter how fast they try to run the lies.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how fast. And
It's all coming out. The veil's thinning.
yeah, you can't. So let it play out. You don't. Yeah, we don't need to force it or rush it, or it's not going fast enough or this and that. I think it's just playing out just the way that it's supposed to, and
Yeah.
the truth is showing, and people are starting to see that. You are seeing people develop greater discernment, starting to talk about frequency, starting to talk about so many different things. Um, so we're all tuning in. I think it's really showing that the collective is tuning in to this. We are getting the same messages. We are feeling this change in these different, and we just may express it in a variety of different ways.
Mm-hmm. We
Mm-hmm.
are headed towards sort of this critical mass, and you can feel it starting to snowball, and people starting to feel this energy, starting to respond to it. Some
Yes.
people not so. I mean, it's like scratching a chalkboard for some people. They aren't digging it, I don't think. But for other people, they're it's awakening something within them. It's
Mm-hmm.
getting them out of that daily grind that the Mandela effect got me out of. But it's so many different things can pull somebody out of
Yeah.
wake them up, and for me it was the
Yeah.
Mandela effect, but it could be anything. And I'm seeing people wake up. I'm seeing the Mandela effect starting to go mainstream after all these years of wondering how they could keep it under wraps for so long. And then our book comes out at the same time as this
Mm-hmm.
conference and this movie coming out. It's like all of it at the same time, and it's like, wow, it's really the words getting out.
Yeah, it's a real emergence of new truths and people speaking their truth and coming, stepping forward and taking, that's the star card coming up in tarot readings a lot. And I think that's stepping forward into that light and just letting it shine for all to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because
So,
for a lot of us, I know the golden child Mandela effect I found was showing me that it's equally, we can feel like it's egoic to feel like, well, I can change the world and all this, but it's equally as egoic to say, oh, who am I? I'm insignificant. That's still your ego saying that. How could you possibly change anything? You're just one person, and
yeah,
and
that's
it
not you
sort of just keeps
talking.
you. Yeah, so it's like finding that happy medium where you become the star of your life and realize that, hey, I can be the star of my life. I can make a change. I can
Mm-hmm.
make a difference. And if
Mm-hmm.
everybody sort of fell into that role, instead of feeling like, what can I possibly do? We could change the world very quickly.
Yeah. And how you make a difference does not need to be measured by anybody else's predetermined route or whatever they say it is that the measurement. We,
Hmm.
we all have our own ways of contributing, and we may not even realize the subtle ways that we do that actually have a massive impact. So yeah, it doesn't need to be a predetermined route or a preset of rules that say what that is. And it's just allowing that free expression within yourself, no matter whatever anybody else's expectations or rules or any of those things are.
Yeah, and
But
I think it's
besides all that.
Yeah, I think it's that's why I think the analogy in church where they talk about the bride of Christ, the body of Christ, like all of the Christians, as they say, are sort of the body of Christ. But I think it goes well beyond a religion to everybody, that's wanting to be loving and wanting the service to others sort of mentality. It's like a body. I mean, you got the fingernails, you got the fingers, the toes. Everything's important. I mean, every single part is important, even if
Yeah.
you think the eyes are the most important, but the eyes are nothing without the brain and the tubes leading, the nerves
Hmm.
leading to the eyes and all of this, and you can really see how we are working together as a single unit,
Right.
and
That's what I'm
everybody's
saying.
part is important.
Yes.
Even people like in the chat that's just adding their intentions to our meditations, and they're going out and doing whatever they're doing in the daytime or whatever. So it's like we're all important here. I mean, nobody, is sort of the king of it all because no one's anything without the rest of the body. An
Yeah.
eyeball laying on the ground isn't anything, right?
Well, just the simple act of radiating the simplicity of this energy without all the complex thoughts and requirements and intentions, without all of those things, the just allowing it to be and radiate from within out of yourself,
Hmm.
that is massive creative force.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely massive. So that's why I say, to compare that to this predetermined set of success or rules or things you should do to, to contribute or whatever that is. This just the simple act of letting this energy, being in the flow and just letting it radiate out into your environment
Yeah.
without all the drama and the all the you need to control going on within your head, quieting that and just letting that blast out from yourself.
Yeah, we
Wow.
really do need to start with ourselves because that's really all we have the power to change. And we
Yeah.
begin to see it reflected in the way we treat other people. So then we're spreading. If our vibes are right, if we're resonating at a higher frequency, then our interactions with others are going to be completely different than if you're out sort of angry or you're going to perceive your reality completely different.
Everything's
Even if everything's exactly the same, your perception of it will be completely different. You know what I mean?
I even say, you know what? You take out the human interaction, you notice it. If you just beam that energy, you're going to notice the difference in human interaction. People are drawn to you. But you beam that energy, you're going to notice the interaction with the animals. You're going to notice the interaction and connection with plants.
Yeah.
You're going to notice it with everything around you. All of a sudden your environment is just this magnetic field
It's alive.
that
Even
you
the
can
air you breathe, you
feel.
can. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can connect, energetically with the chipmunk. Like all that stuff. You can feel the trees expressing themselves as they blow in the wind and how they love you. You can feel all of that around you. So, yeah, it really does change everything. The world around you really jumps up to respond to that. It really
Yeah.
does. Hmm.
It really does. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Give me the
All right.
giggles. You're gonna get the energy giggles.
Yeah, I've been getting the tingles on the head all
Yeah.
throughout my body. Some of the
Yeah.
pressure. We talked about the third eye pressure. Is there
Yeah.
anything we forgot to discuss?
I think we got the bulk of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we got. I hope you
Well,
guys, unless you guys want to bring anything up, but I think we got the gist of it.
no. Eileen says, great advice, feeling recharged. Gotta go.
Aw,
Much love. Much love to you,
love to
Eileen.
you, love to you, Eileen. I just love her. I love your energy. I love her energy.
I'm looking at all the beautiful emojis, and I've seen people hop in. They're like, why is everybody putting so many emojis?
Love, 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 love,
Too
love, love,
much
love,
love.
love, 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 love. Because what else can you say? It's just why there's so much emojis, because everybody's like, yes, I just want to express it. I just want to. It doesn't require all the words. It's just you just want to beam it. You just want to beam that energy. So I think we're all feeling that. And if you haven't listened to that album, go put the link I sent you down there.
And
because
also,
I love seeing the energy in the choir. Like when you see the energy in that choir jumping around, like.
Yeah, and the bus one, or the airplane one, that was awesome too.
Oh, you like that? Yeah, with James Corden.
That was really cool.
Yeah, I did like that. But I've watched the whole. I've been listening to it actually. The video that I sent you, it's like an hour and 45 minutes long or whatever. But because there is a church service and everything in it, and I'm like, but it is so good just feeling the energy off that. Just gives me goosebumps. And I've got it playing, like I wake up and it's like I'm waking up with hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I'm like, wow, that's great. It was a few months ago that
you can tell it's going to transform lives just from somebody sitting through it. That it's going to awaken something.
So much music, Shane. So I love so much music. But then when I really went through this shift and change, and you realize how energetically and started stepping away from all that, just being more aware of symbolism in videos, so what they're really putting, all that stuff. And I stopped listening to a lot of like modern music, and which I love, except I send you the Tom McDonald I like, but just to be able to enjoy new music that you can feel good about. Like, exactly. I'm happy with that. Yeah.
All righty, well, we will not be here next week. I won't quite be back from the trip yet, so we'll see you guys here on Talking Shift in 2 weeks. And for all of you that's going to be at the conference, I'll see you in a few days. Lots of love and light to all of you guys in the chat and you watching later. And thank you so much, Michelle, for being here, chatting, talking shift with me.
Always and forever, my brother. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Peace out.
Bye.
If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.